Sit down and relax. It's time for number two. It's awesome and fun packed. Let's release the number two. Number two show. Number two show. Number two show. Number two show. Two.
Hi, I'm Sandy Smith, and for reasons that I can simply not understand, you're watching as this exciting time of national bonding via self-isolation and Netflix continues. It's important to remember and honour the real heroes in our lives. That's right. Everyone involved in the production, delivery and sales of alcohol. Alcohol is literally the only thing keeping me going right now, with the exception of internet porn and calling armed police response team to report my neighbours for looking out of their window more than twice a day. With that in mind, here's our very own delightful dipsomaniac, Emma with Ales.
And welcome to Ales with Emma. This week coming from my living room because obviously we're all in lockdown, but I have still managed to get 4 lovely British beers from breweries around the country who are still taking online orders, so they're still very much in business. So I'm going to crack on. First one is a brown ale out of a brewery in Huddersfield. It is called Otter's Perineum. Let's give us a go. That is nice. That is nutty. That's quite smoky, quite chocolatey. It's actually really reminding me of my Nutella flavour vape. I think I'd give that one 3.5 out of 5. Okay, moving straight on. This is a Kolsch. And this comes from some guys that exclusively make Kolsch, the Kidderminster Kolsch Kids. You don't get a lot of KKK in the pubs, apart from a few in Kent. Don't know why, because it's really good beer. This one is called Supremacy, and it's actually really pale. It's almost like a white beer. Let's give it a go. That's it's quite simple in its flavour profile, quite crisp, but yeah, it's all right. I give that one 3.5 out of 5. Okay, moving on. This is a stout. Now, this stout comes out of a brewery in Manchester. It's been brewed with Black Forest Gatto, cherry pie, Krispy Kreme donuts, lemon meringue pie, and glazed ribs. So I'm afraid it's not vegan, guys. Sorry about that. It's called Type 2, I guess, because it's their second stout that they've made. That's nice. That's quite definitely some coffee notes there. Kind of reminds me of my favourite flat white choco mocha frappuccino that I get from my favourite coffee shop, but unfortunately that's closed down now. But that is a good alternative in the meantime, so I would give that 3.5 out of 5. Great. Right, so last one. This is quite interesting actually. This comes out of a brewery owned by Gary Lineker, and all the beers there they pay homage to sports people. So there's an Indian pale ale called Gareth Pale, there's an alcohol-free beer called No Farah, and this one I have to admit to not knowing really who this guy is, but this is Phil the Sour Tailor. Let's give this one a go. That is quite nice. It's quite fruity, it's quite sour. There's also something that I just can't quite put my finger on. What is that? Really nice. Not sure what that is, but I would definitely give that one 3.5 out of 5. So that's all the beers. If you want to order them, you can look on my Instagram account. I'll have links on there. Next week, I'm going to be showing you how to brew your own beer using things that you can find around your own home. But for now, take care. Bye.
Welcome back. Unlike you, I can read. My favourite book is My Fanny and Other Animals, but I also enjoy reading obituaries and health warnings on fag packets. But enough about me. Imagine you're not an illiterate hobo with a chronic glue-sniffing addiction. Instead, imagine you are the kind of person who reads books and isn't going to die alone on a mattress surrounded by cat shit. Here's Brian Gitt to show you what you're missing. Illiterate bell end.
We live in strange times. A lone police car winds its way down an empty street on the lookout for wandering citizens, passing shuttered shop windows bearing poorly printed notices about the ever-present pandemic as it transforms our lives with each day it persists.
Sir, afraid you can't do that here.
I'm doing TV.
Thankfully, some have taken this bizarre scenario and used it as an excuse to do more than just chop out a line of Netflix or shoot up a fix of Amazon Prime. Suddenly, from the old to the young, we're reading again. And so, the tradition of book clubs has gone online, groups convening via video conference calls, sharing their love for literacy through the series of tubes that is the internet.
This book is for shitheads. Yeah?
But what sort of titles are flourishing in the time of social distancing? Gedman Fellows of Wonder Piss Publishing shed some light.
Nah, that one just looks weird.
Well, there certainly do appear to be patterns emerging from the sales we've seen. People are still very much interested in, people. And the first I have is a reissue of a modern classic. It's The Siege of Gary Massive by Kenny Large. And it comes with a new prologue, Bulbous Thoughts, an interview with Gary Massive, which is surprisingly angry about Israel. And obviously, interest in medical information has grown since the time of the outbreak. So next up, we have Anal Fissures, The Complete Guide by Marcus Krakow. And that's done very well atop the charts. And this is the DIY edition with the extensive illustrations. Finally, of course, there's The Arts. And by far the biggest seller amongst ABC Ones is Oh Baby, I Like It Raw, a complete history of raw shit from Old Dirty Bastard to Danny Brown by the inimitable Kenton Fenton. And there we go. We may be isolated, but it seems like our interests are as diverse as ever. Reading might be flourishing in the time of the coronavirus, but there's always a chance that buying new reading material may allow the virus itself to flourish. So make sure you take appropriate steps recommended by the experts.
Well, indeed. Do not only disinfect any goods entering your private area, but yourself as well. As can be seen in my instructional video, I am used to disinfecting myself before both entering and exiting my house. I have practiced it for years. I advise you to do the same.
Whatever the case, as long as we're all careful, we can indulge all we like in rich literary worlds, escape into flights of fancy, and thrill to twisting narratives spun by the finest storytellers out there. Well, except for me, I'm off out on my quad bike to go mental in a field. This is Brian Gitt, doing donuts out in the country.
As is fashionable in today's electronic world, you can send us your thoughts and opinions on the show via the miracle of social media. So feel free to type your thoughts into a tweet or something. Dora, you can shove it straight up your arsehole, and I bet you're as ugly as a hippo on crack. Go and get yourself a surgeon to tidy up that nose instead of sitting around tweeting your pathetic unwanted opinions to all on Sandry. I'm sorry. I went off script there. I was meant to say, we enjoyed reading your views. Arrogant peasant. I'm sorry. Going off script again. I'm going for a lie down. Here's Arthur Mudgensworth, our resident cultural analyst and cat fiddler, with a special piece of short reflection.
Do you remember the old days? Peace and prosperity, warmth and wealth, and children singing in the streets. It was lovely, wasn't it? Wasn't it lovely? It was lovely, wasn't it? Wasn't it, eh? Lovely, wasn't it? Wasn't it lovely? It was lovely, wasn't it? Wasn't it, eh? Do you know what went and ruined it? You want to know what went and ruined it? Bloody Maggie Thatcher and her punk rock with their hair on their shoulders. You couldn't spot the blokes because it was a man's game in those days. They never wore shin pads. Just blocks of wood they found at the shipyards. You know when it really ruined it? The bloody unions with their disco dancing and their wildcat strikes. They always wanted a little bit more. And that's why we won the Eurovision every year. We weren't afraid to tell them where to stick it. These days you've got to sing in 12 different languages simultaneously or it's illegal. You know when it really totally ruined it? The bloody Black Death coming over here with all its vomiting and pustules, raising the price of skilled labour. Because in those days, everybody smoked. It was just something you did. These days, you lay a finger on a kid, social services come down on you like a barrel of... But you know what went and really totally, absolutely ruined it? Bloody opposable digits, namely thumbs, forcing us to express jollity and contentment. These days people are picking things up, putting them down willy-nilly though they got nothing better to do. In the old days we could just go swish, swish, swish. These days with all these foreign players and their tricky dicky Johnny go lightly capering about, our boys don't even get a look in. But you know what went and really, totally, absolutely beyond the shadow of a doubt, I swear to God, and my mother's life ruined it? The bloody force of gravity. Setting order in the universe, controlling the flow of the tides, giving us the contrast of day and night. And none of them can play. And none of them have done a day's work in their life. At least these foreign lads put a shift in, but I probably shouldn't say that in case I get arrested by the thought police. And that's the trouble with this country today. And you try telling that to these young people, they look at you like you just strung together a load of unrelated platitudes in order to create a satirical collage of contemporary life. Cheeky buggers.
And that's it for tonight's edition of the Number 2 show. If you would like to join me for an intimate video call this evening, please be aware that I will be expecting full nudity and at least one farmyard animal to be involved. If this doesn't sound like your cup of tea, then I'll see you next time on